Imagine you're driving your rig down a deserted highway late at night, surrounded by nothing but darkness and the faint hum of your truck's engine. Suddenly, you spot something strange in your headlights, an unsettling figure lurking by the roadside. Your heart races as you wonder what dangers may lie ahead. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into 5 true trucker horror stories that will leave you questioning your safety on the road. From eerie figures appearing in the shadows to unnerving encounters with other drivers, these chilling tales remind us that sometimes the highway holds more than just miles to travel. Story 1 by David Harmon. My name is David Harmon, and I've spent over 10 years navigating the vast and lonely stretches of America's highways as a long-haul trucker. There's something about the open road that can be both soothing and unsettling. You get used to the isolation, the endless night drives, and the strange things that happen when you're miles away from civilization. But there's one night that still haunts me to this day. It was a hot summer evening. I was eager to make good time, but as night fell, I found myself on a desolate stretch of highway in West Texas. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a sky glittered with stars, but the beauty of it all was overshadowed by an oppressive silence that enveloped the road. Just when I thought I'd make it through the night, I noticed a flickering light off to the side of the highway. It was an old rest area, poorly lit and seemingly abandoned. Curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to pull over. Stepping out of my truck, the night air hit me like a wave, warm and thick. The flickering light turned out to be a campfire, and around it sat a group of people. They looked like they were having a good time, laughing and drinking, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. For a moment, I thought about joining them, but something about the scene felt wrong. "You need help?" I asked, my heart starting to race. One of them, a tall man with a wide grin that made me uneasy, stepped forward. "You shouldn't be here, friend," he said. "This is our place." I started to feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. The group was now standing, closing in on me. I turned and bolted back to my truck. Just as I slammed the door shut, I could hear them laughing again, but this time it was twisted, almost mocking. "You think you can just leave?" one of them called out, their tone full of menace. I started the engine, my heart pounding in my chest as I backed out of the parking spot. I glanced in the rearview mirror and saw them all standing there, watching me with sinister smiles. I hit the gas and took off down the highway, the sound of laughter fading into the night behind me. I eventually found a gas station and pulled in, shaking from the adrenaline. The attendant noticed my pale face and asked if I was okay. I couldn't help but spill the whole story, but he just nodded knowingly, as if he had heard it all before. That night I learned that the road can hold more than just cargo and miles. It can be a place where shadows lurk and danger waits just out of sight. I still think about those people by the fire, their twisted smiles and chilling laughter. Story 2 by Sarah Jenkins. I'm Sarah Jenkins, and I've been driving trucks for over 8 years. My job takes me across the country, but one trip stands out as the most terrifying experience of my life. It was a chilly October night, and I was transporting a load from Chicago to Minneapolis. I was on Interstate 35, cruising through the rural stretches of Minnesota, when I decided to take a break at a small, rundown truck stop that looked like it had seen better days. The neon lights buzzed above me, flickering in and out, and I felt a sense of unease wash over me. Still, I needed to refuel and grab a quick bite, so I pulled in. As I walked into the diner, the place was nearly empty. A few truckers sat at the counter, nursing their coffee, while the waitress eyed me suspiciously. I could tell something was off. I ordered a sandwich, trying to shake the feeling that I was being watched. The clock ticked loudly in the silence. While I waited for my food, I noticed a man sitting alone at a booth in the back. Every now and then, he glanced in my direction, a strange glint in his eyes. My stomach twisted. Something about him felt wrong. When my sandwich arrived, I took a deep breath and forced myself to eat, trying to focus on the food. But I could feel the man's gaze burning into me. After a few bites, I decided I'd had enough. I placed a few bills on the counter and headed for the exit, my heart racing. Just as I stepped outside, I heard a voice behind me. "Hey, you're not going to just leave without saying goodbye, are you?" It was the man from the booth, now blocking my way. His smile sent chills down my spine. I really need to get going," I stammered. looking around for any other truckers. But the place was deserted. The other truckers had mysteriously vanished, and the diner felt more like a trap than a resting place. "Come on, don't be rude," he said, stepping closer. "You're all alone out here. It would be a shame if something happened to you." Fear surged through me. I pushed past him, sprinting to my truck. I could hear his footsteps quickening behind me. "Hey, where do you think you're going?" he called, his voice dripping with malice. Finally managing to get the door open, I jumped inside and slammed it shut, locking it with trembling hands. I glanced up just in time to see him by my window, his face twisted into a sinister grin. I hit the gas, pulling away as fast as I could. My heart was pounding in my chest and I didn't dare look back. As I drove away, I could see the diner in my rearview mirror. The man was still standing there, watching me leave. I didn't stop until I reached the nearest city, and even then, I felt his eyes haunting me from the shadows. Story 3 by Mark Taylor. My name is Mark Taylor, and I've been a long-haul trucker for over a decade. I've seen my fair share of strange things on the road, but nothing could prepare me for what happened one night in New Mexico. It was late September, and I was driving a route through the desert, miles from the nearest town. The moon hung low, casting an eerie glow on the highway, and the temperature was dropping fast. I had been driving for hours when I noticed the fuel gauge dipping dangerously close to empty. I recalled a small truck stop a few miles back, so I decided to turn around and fill up. As I pulled into the lot, I noticed the place looked abandoned. The lights flickered, and the diner was dark. Still, I figured I'd give it a shot since I had no other options. As I stepped out of my truck, a chill ran down my spine. The wind howled through the empty lot, sending a shiver through me. I approached the door, and it creaked open as if inviting me inside. The interior was dim, and the only sound was the hum of a flickering, fluorescent light. I decided to grab a quick snack from the vending machine in the corner. I inserted a few coins, but the machine refused to cooperate. Just then, I heard a soft voice behind me. "Need some help?" I turned around to see a woman standing there, her features obscured by the shadows. Her long hair fell over her face, but I could see the glint of her eyes watching me intently. Yeah, the vending machine is stuck," I replied, trying to sound casual. She stepped closer, and I noticed her clothes were ragged, as if she had been living on the streets. "Don't worry about it," she said, her smile unsettling. "You can have whatever you want." "What do you mean?" I asked, my heart racing. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the diner into darkness. She hissed, and I could hear footsteps approaching from behind. In a surge of adrenaline, I shoved past her and bolted for the door. The handle was cold and unyielding, but I managed to wrench it open and burst outside. The night air hit me like a wave, and I sprinted to my truck. I could hear the woman's laughter trailing behind me, growing louder as I fumbled to unlock the door. I climbed inside, locked it, and started the engine, my hands shaking. As I pulled away, I glanced back, but the diner was now just a dark silhouette against the night sky. That experience left me shaken to my core. I learned that night that some places hold dark secrets, and it's better to stay away from the shadows. I never went back to that truck stop again, and every time I drive through the New Mexico desert, I remember the woman and the terror that lingered in that empty diner. Story 4 by Emily Foster. My name is Emily Foster, and I've been a truck driver for over 5 years. One fateful night, I was hauling a load of produce across rural Indiana. It was a chilly autumn evening, and the winding roads cut through dense patches of woods. After hours of driving, I decided to pull over at a small truck stop I'd seen advertised a few miles back. The place was nearly empty. Rusty signs and flickering lights illuminated an old diner that seemed frozen in time. I parked my rig and stepped inside, greeted by the smell of stale coffee and fried food. As I sipped my coffee, I noticed a man sitting alone at another table, his long hair and disheveled appearance sending a chill down my spine. He kept glancing at me, and I tried to ignore him, focusing on my phone. Suddenly, he stood up and approached me. "You're a truck driver, right?" he asked, his voice gravelly. "Yeah, I am," I replied cautiously. "Mind if I sit?" Without waiting for an answer, a few years back, a trucker was found dead in his rig just down the road. They said it was an accident, but I know better. I've been on these roads long enough to know something isn't right. My heart raced as he recounted eerie tales of other truckers who vanished without a trace, claiming the roads were haunted. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Because it's happening again," he said urgently. "They're out there, and they're watching you." Suddenly, I noticed the diner had grown eerily quiet. Panic gripped me. Where did everyone go? "You're not safe here, Emily. You need to leave, now." Before I could react, he walked toward the door. I instinctively followed, heart pounding. Just as we reached the entrance, the lights flickered violently, plunging the diner into darkness for a moment. When the lights returned, the man was gone. I stepped outside, my heart racing as I hopped into my cab. I tore out of the parking lot, glancing in my rear-view mirror, half expecting to see him there. All I saw was the empty road behind me. I didn't stop driving until I reached the next town, where I pulled into a gas station to collect my thoughts. Locals were talking about the truck stop, sharing the same eerie tales. They mentioned that the trucker who died was never truly found, only his rig parked at the same spot I had been. I realized sometimes the stories we hear are warnings. I swore never to stop at that truck stop again, but I'll never forget that chilling encounter. Story 5 by Samuel Carter. My name is Samuel Carter, and I've spent 8 years navigating the long, lonely roads as a trucker. While I've seen a lot on the highway, one particular night left me rattled and questioning everything I thought I knew about the road. It was a late summer evening, and I found myself driving along Interstate 70 in Colorado, a desolate stretch known for its eerie quiet. With the sun setting and fatigue creeping in, I decided to stop at a small truck stop I spotted on the side of the road. The flickering neon lights and the aged exterior of the place felt oddly inviting, so I pulled in. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the faint hum of the refrigerator and the distant buzz of the television in the corner. There was just one other customer, a trucker sitting alone at a booth, staring blankly at the screen. I ordered a cup of coffee, hoping it would wake me up for the rest of my journey. As I waited, I couldn't help but overhear the other trucker's hushed conversation with the waitress. He was talking about an accident that had occurred a few miles up the road, claiming that the area was cursed. "Truckers vanish without a trace," he warned, as I finished my coffee and headed back to my rig. Climbing into my cab, I felt a chill in the air that wasn't just from the night breeze. As I merged back onto the highway, the shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally along the roadside, flickering just out of sight. Then my radio crackled to life. A voice, frantic and breathless, came through. "Help! Help me! I'm lost!" Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more creepy stories. Which of these trucker stories gave you chill? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, sometimes a journey that seems to be alone isn't too alone at all.